Hey Sam, thanks for coming in. All right, as they say in the NFL, upon further review, we are going to slightly overrule the call on the field, meaning I've taken a little bit closer look now that I have a little time to kind of figure out what's causing some of the steepness because we want to look at a swing that's not your best because those are the shots that give you problems. And that's the advantage I have when I got time. When it's a live lesson, I kind of sometimes feel rushed to let's give an answer, but now I got a little bit more time. So we're going to compare you to Adam just to look at a couple things. First of all, before I forget, I'm going to give you a drill because as we'll see in the takeaway, if the right heel lifts a little bit, the weight's going out towards the right toe, which is going to give you an off balance backswing. Okay, so we'll put a check on that and give you a drill for that. All right, so top looks wonderful, except for the right heel, right? Now in this shot, you're going to hit it off the toe and you're going to come down steep. Okay, it's not massively steep, but again, we would love to see the shaft back over here. So what you looks like you do when you get steep is you pull the handle down towards the ball, and that traps your upper right arm into a look where your right forearm is going to look very high, but your right elbow looks a little stuck behind you. Okay, so that's going to send your hands too far out towards the ball, which is going to present in a microsecond. Your brain's going to have to decide, is it better to hit this on the heel or the toe? So when you get to about P6 or shaft last parallel, and that swing, the club's outside your hands, you can see your right forearm is pointed fairly far out above the ball. Then we'll do an unfair comparison with Adam Scott, and we're going to see when he gets, so he's shallowing much early. And if I back you up a little bit to P5, which is when lead arm's parallel, right about there, I'm going to see it looks like his upper right arm is more vertical, and yours is closer to horizontal than vertical, right? So that's that elbow kind of getting stuck behind you, which is going to take your hand path out, shank or toe, depending on how you react. So that's there, and then when we get you back to 5, which we already saw, he's going to jump around, so we got to go find him again. When he gets to 6, now you can see the line on the bottom of his forearm is just barely a couple inches or so past the ball. So from that position, it's going to look like he tucked his elbow under more, his right forearm's closer to the ball or more under, which means his right elbow is not pointing as far out, which means his hands are not so far out. And you'll see left arm points inside the ball and your left forearm points at the ball. So that's kind of a synopsis, I think, of what happens when you don't hit it great. You probably get a little steep and don't hit it great. And then steep stops rotation, right? So that's the name of the game for us right now, is getting more shallow in transition so you can open up just blazing speed. So now we can go to a couple drills. Let's get rid of all this stuff and see where I put. Okay, all right, this is going to be 2 parts because I forgot one part. First, we'll start with a basic indoor drill. We're going to start with the right heel maybe an inch off the floor. And then we're going to immediately step on it and turn. Okay. Step on it and turn. Let the left heel do the opposite in the backswing. So the left heel is going to come up about half an inch or an inch. Doesn't have to be gigantic. So we're going to feel that that motion is going to allow us to sit back in the right heel. And then when we start our pretend transition, we're going to plant the left heel down, which gently moves the weight forward and allows us to rotate. So a lot of the old guys had great footwork. Of course, nobody really talks about it anymore. But there's our start. Slam that down, go to the top, Now slam the left heel down and rotate through, okay? Now this is me showing the alternative, because I gave you what I'm sure for you was a very bizarre feeling way to shallow. So I'm going to give you, upon further review, a little bit more traditional way to get that club not to be steep. So what I'm going to demonstrate, since I'm highly unflexible, I've got a 90-degree shoulder turn if I was hitting that direction. I've just moved my feet around 90 degrees as well. So I'm going to go into left side bend, which will make it look like a backswing. And now I'm going to just unfold my right arm a little bit, and you'll see how the club shallows. Okay. Now we wouldn't really start the downswing with this alone. We would start it with rotation. And so if we blend that in with some turn, okay, you can see the shaft never has the opportunity to get steep. And then I turn my feet around and go, there's where I want to be. So from face on. Now it has to be incremental with the turn. It cannot be just unload your right elbow immediately or you will have chaos, okay? So it's incrementally unfolding gently, incrementally the right arm bend, because you keep your right arm bent too long and you get the elbow trapped behind you. So from face on, it's not going to look like I'm doing anything funny. Okay. From down the line, okay, here's the alternative, which we did, which is really shallowing the shaft with a little bit of ulnar deviation, I believe they call it. Now if I forward bend from there, it looks kind of normal, right? So I'll let you decide. If you don't like that one I just presented, then you've got to go the gentle right arm unfolding. What we're going to try to accomplish is you to get the feel of a sidearm throw in your right arm, because you don't unfold your right arm soon enough and it gets the elbow actually tilting behind you and getting that arm too close to getting stuck behind you, which takes your hand path out, okay? So let's see, what am I demonstrating here? Okay, this is kind of a real scenario. Gently unfolding the right arm as I rotate, and that'd be my 6 shaft last parallel. So that looks pretty normal, I think. And then we're going to let you practice a little bit short swings going into rotation and extension of the spine, so you don't get too, forward bent looking in the follow through. Here's the ball hitting drill I would invite you to try, just to kind of force feed sense of rotation. You're going to start really rotated in the hips, pretty square with the shoulders. Take the club where it lines up with your hands, then just purposely push it behind your hands, or kind of in line with your right leg. You don't have to do the down cocking version, okay, but I just want you to get from here, and it's going to force you to rotate because you know the club's behind your hands. So we'll just chip some out there and let that body learn to rotate from a very short swing, and this is just the face-on view. So there's the club in line with my hands. I'm going to push it behind my hands and just rotate through. Boom. Okay. And last but not least, I think I've got one more to show you. Looking at these two ways to shallow, from a face-on view, I think this is going to be early right arm unfolding, or gently unfolding on the way down. And if I get it to 6, pretty good lag, shaft parallel to the ground. And if I do the one where I kind of feel like my thumb is pointing down more, when I get to 6, it's marginal difference right between there and there. So neither one look horrible. I'm still going to have plenty of shaft lean either way, so I'll just invite you to try both, but probably I'm guessing you're going to go towards the right elbow unfolding feel. And then the last thing we talked about really is a couple things, right? Get the weight seeking your right heel a little bit more in the backswing, so we don't have an imbalance in the start of the swing to the top. Getting the club to shallow in whichever way you like, and then making sure the face is relatively square, either perfectly flat or slightly bowed at the top, which means you can get that accomplished in the backswing is fine, so that we make sure we don't have to do anything to square the face on the way down. And I think this might be, nope. Let's see if this is, the swing yet where you put a lot of good things together on the way down. So there's certainly a potential in you to get more open. Again, it's kind of predicated on two things: how the face is managed at the top of the swing, and if we can get it to shallow. And you did do a nice job of shallowing really well, because there's 5. So now instead of your hands being out here and the shaft on top of your right shoulder, your hands are further back, and the shaft points a little bit outside the ball, which is great. So that's going to allow you to rotate more. Steep won't allow you. I don't think you have a really open face, but it's always good to kind of make sure we don't get cupped at the top. And remember, you can kind of force feed that overly closed, bowed feel on these little shots just to force you to make sure you rotate through in some practice, okay?